Creation, the beginning of the end. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Something from nothingness, fullness from emptiness, presence from vacancy. The great week of wonder had begun. With Genesis chapter 1 open in my lap, I watch him cut the ribbon. I hear the shovel break ground at the new construction site, and I snap a mental picture of God in a hard hat, all smiles. He is about to blow our minds. And he does, says Pastor Ed one Sunday, but pay closer attention to how. Creativity follows a distinct pattern that God put in place. Even in his hands, creation does not make the journey from wasteland to wonder in a blink. There are some subtle middle moments to consider. First, he simply speaks the heavens and earth into existence. He does not call them good, but instead, one breath later, describes the miracle of this new creation as formless, void, and empty. The Spirit still hovering over the deep. That seems like an odd declaration after such an accomplishment. Let there be earth! Kinda voidish. Creation is on a sure path to goodness, but now, even in the hands of the Creator, it is in process first, still in chaos. Next, God clears his throat to address the darkness, whispering the name of its new counterpart. Let there be light. Spectacular. Terrifying. Light slashing madly down the middle of the heavy dark drapes, scattering shards of thin black to the furthest corners of the universe. If any angels were brave enough to stay for the show, I suspect they had to turn away for parts of it, drawing in sharp breaths, dwelling in wide, worried silence, heads shaking, wings tucked. Light from darkness the first day, astonishing. And still, no mention of good. The heavens are seething with potential, but on this day we are left again to confront that vague space that dangles between vision and completion. It's how he set up the design process for every artist that would follow. The work of all creativity must first be subjected to agony and toil. It must be lingered over. It must languish, picked up, turned around, set down. It must find order and stability, every brushstroke and lyric, and clay pot and arabesque and sonnet. Any moment, no matter how small, that seeks to reflect the Creator must travel this lonely pre-dawn road. The Spirit must hover and hover over our deep darkness. That is, if it's to be called good. Which perhaps is why so much art just isn't. There is no evidentiary trace of his likeness. I consider these first few moments of creation, heavens, earth, light, darkness. It is not good yet, but it is there, it is ready. And something in me wants to stand up in the middle of the passage and yell, "Stop! Stop right there! Please, God, don't feel obligated to see this thing through. Because in a few short days, you will be sculpting the antelope's antlers and telling us how good it is, but we know how this week ends. And it's not good at all. So please, in your compassion, spare us this needless spiral into hopelessness." But he doesn't stop. He is in love with potential, as he always has been. I can't shake off my questions in the creation story. If God is God and knows all things past, present, and future, if he already knew about the runaway train on the tracks ahead, why did he create at all? The most cynical part of me wants to call it the why bother story. Why bother with every luminous shade of orange on the flimsy wing of a monarch, if he knows how the story will end? Did he know, when he separated the sky from the water, that we would find endless and creative ways to destroy both? Did he know we would dump jet fuel mid-flight, that we would send spaceships into his carefully ordered atmosphere and clutter it with debris? When he spoke the ozone layer into existence for our protection, did he know about hairspray in the 80s? And when, with outstretched hands, he spoke the oceans and seas into place, did he know we would spill oil everywhere? That we would dump our toxic waste into the mouths of creatures, great and small, who call the water home? If he knew, why fret over the number of starfish arms? 6? No, 5 is best. Why bother? When God called the dry ground land, could he have known what we would do with it? The concrete we would pour, the mines we would gouge in our greedy hunt for riches until entire mountain ranges were stripped bare, the forest lost, the soil depleted, the fire set? Did he know that first week how we would divide ourselves eventually, claiming certain sections of dirt for our own tribes, erecting borders, inventing us and them? Like children scattered beneath a broken piñata, scrambling and shoving what we can into our pockets before running for the corners to count the loot. This is our legacy with land. Did he know? Then came the cucumbers and olives, wheat fields and peach trees, the day he created with color and flavor every good and nourishing thing. Did he see on that day the jutting ribs of starvation? The bulging gluttonous bellies hung heavy over elastic pants? Did he see us filling our bodies with matter, but not with the nutrients he'd carefully engineered? Surely, had he known about pork rinds, he never would have let us feed ourselves, but would have built solar panels across our backs for energy instead. The day he made the swift deer and the gentle elephant, did he see poaching? When he patched together the smooth scales of an alligator, did he see handbags? Did he know about the circus? Did he know that his beautiful kingdom of creatures would become our collective lab rat? I mean, really, why bother? Could he have ever imagined on the day he blew life into the nostrils of marvelous man, the crown of his creation, that we would so utterly destroy one another? That our carefully painted shades of skin would barbarically entitle us to own each other? That a bloodline would spark genocide? That we would kill, maim, and extinguish, and to make matters more devastating, that we would often do it in his name? You can safely assume that you've created God in your own image when it turns out that God hates all the same people you do, a friend tells the incomparable Anne Lamott. Did God stand in the garden, seconds from breathing life into Adam, and try to push aside the inevitable thoughts of rape, suicide, sex slavery, abortion? If he knew the ending, then why even set the beautiful beginnings of it in motion? I believe he did know. He couldn't be God otherwise. I don't think he began and then completed his whole work in a week, and then one rascally serpent and an apple later had to come up with a redemptive ending on the fly. I don't think he was standing there in front of trembling Adam and Eve with a hand on his hip thinking, well, how do you like that? Figures. Of course he knew we would toss a grenade into all that beauty. As he swept across the surface of our new planet, paying close attention to the fox's tail and the cricket's legs and the buds on a rose bush, it was then that he seemed pleased with his work. This is when it was good. Not in the chaotic, hovering, nameless space, but only once his hand had created life, because God is life. And he caught a glimpse of his own reflection, and it was very, very good. I wonder if, instead of feeling the weight of our inevitable and deplorable stewardship, he found glimpses of hope and purpose when he thought of us that first week. He knew Adam would need to cover himself with leaves. He knew Abraham would need stars to count, and Joseph would need grain to share. He knew Moses would need a rock to strike, and a shepherd boy named David would need a few smaller stones. Ruth would need a field to harvest. We'd need lots of trees to build an ark for animals and an ark of the covenant, to build a manger and a cross. And we would need some clouds, a pillar to follow in the desert wilderness, many more to scroll back for his return. In all of these moments, the Creator held us like newborns and saw glimpses of himself. And though it is our capacity for utter darkness and destruction that leaves me wondering why he bothered, it is our capacity to reflect the perfection of his light and love that reveal why he did. Of course he bothered. It was good then because he was good. And it will be good always, because love knows no other way to be.